Hey, in this lesson, we're going to be updating the score. So we've got the dealer and player both at 0, and that's just the default start values. So let's set a variable for score, and this can be an array, and it can have two values in it. So one will be the player, and one will be the dealer. And then we can use that to update the scoreboard. So let's create a function in order to update the actual scoreboard of the gameplay. And then we can call to this function whenever we need to make an update to whatever the scoreboard score is. So creating a function, and we'll just call it scoreboard. It doesn't have to pass in any values because, again, all of this stuff is global within the game object. So using the game scoreboard and setting up the text content. And we're gonna, this time, let's use a template literal. So those are backticks. Those aren't quotes, they're backticks. And they allow us to structure and add in JavaScript. There's more information about how template literals work at the Mozilla. There's more information about how template literals work on the Mozilla Developer Network. And as you can see, these are backticks, and they allow us to apply expressions directly within the backticks. So regardless of having the single or double quotes, this is slightly different. And this is a great way to add in variables and values into strings without having to break out of the string. And it also accounts for taking in spaces and line breaks. So it's a really good way to create templates for output of content. And of course, if you want to, you can just use the regular quotes as well. So I just want to introduce something a little bit different. So dealer, and introducing the expression, you do the $ and the curly brackets. And we're going to take the value of score with the index of 0 versus the player. And the player is going to also have a score. And that's going to be contained within score index of 1 and output. So whenever we call scoreboard, it's going to update the scoreboard value. And we can do that on the init as well. And that updates the scoreboard values. So it's taking it directly from whatever the score is. So if we start out at score of 1, you'll see it updates there within the HTML. And that means that every time we need to make an update to the score, we can just call the scoreboard object. So going back into where we created the winner, we're going to update the winner values and where we've got determining who the winner was. So in this case, draw no winners. In this case, the player is the winner. So whichever one you want to use for the player, I'll use the second, the one with the index of 1 for player and just increment it. And for the dealer, we'll increment score and increment it by 1. And then we'll launch the scoreboard object. So this way it will track and see what the score is. So player 1, because the dealer busted. Let's deal it again. Stand and dealer 1, player 1. So everything is implemented now. And actually we should, there was an error there that if we hit, we see we busted, dealer wins with 14. But we still have the ability to keep hitting. So we need to disable those buttons. So there are a number of different bugs that you're going to find. And that's why it's important to be able to play through the game and just make sure that you're not encountering any of these bugs. So we do need to, when we are checking the winner, we do need to turn those off. So let's update and we'll turn them off. And that's turning off the buttons for the hit and for the stand. So let's try that one more time. So that seems to be working a bit better. So that means next, coming up, we can account for the betting. So we'll add in some betting and wagering into the gameplay. So that's still to come in the next lesson. So go ahead and play through your project. Make sure that everything is working as expected, that the count is working properly and that you're able to determine the winner and that the buttons and the next actions that the user is expected to take are available to the user as they play through the game.